pages 53 to 55 of The Perfect Hamburger. Now, do you remember that Joe and Mr. Borthwick have visited Chef Casseroli, who was unable to identify the spice, but as luck would have it, they had a great gourmet dining in the restaurant at the time, so they asked him if he could identify it, and he hummed and hawed and went on and on about all his food experiences before confessing in an embarrassed way that although he had come across this spice, he couldn't name it and he had eaten it in a hamburger. So actually, per Joe and Mr. Borthwick are no further on than they were before. Mr. Octavius wasn't able to tell them anything they didn't already know. So, what's going to happen now, do you think? Chapter 5. We're back exactly where we started, Mr. Borthwick said as they drove home. We're none the wiser. Joe thought about this for a moment. It had been the most remarkable coincidence that Mr. Octavius himself, the great gourmet, had, one evening long ago, slipped into Mr. Borthwick's hamburger place. And it had been another coincidence that on that very evening Mr. Borthwick had put a pinch of spice from the green tin into his hamburger. I hardly ever used that stuff, Mr. Borthwick remarked. I can't have been thinking what I was doing. But of course, Mr. Borthwick was right when he said they were back where they began. A great chef and a great gourmet had both failed to identify the spice. They knew nothing more than when they had they knew nothing more than they had known when they set out. It was most disappointing. For the next few weeks, nothing much happened at Mr. Borthwick's hamburger place. Then one evening, when Joe called round to help Mr. Borthwick paint some shelves, Mr. Borthwick gave him some bad news. I don't think we'll bother to work tonight, he said dejectedly. Dejectedly means disappointed and fed up. Joe was surprised. But we were going to paint those shelves, he protested. Why don't we start tonight? Mr. Borthwick sat down on his chair. He looked crumpled up, defeated. Listen to me, Joe, he said seriously. We just can't go on. I owe the bank money. The business isn't profitable, and now the bank manager says that if I don't pay up in 3 weeks, then that will be that. Oh, crikey. Do you think Mr. Borthwick can suddenly find the money that he owes the bank manager in just 3 weeks? Bearing in mind he's got no customers coming in really because they're all going to the new hamburger place, aren't they? Oh dear, no wonder Mr. Borthwick's feeling dejected. Bye for now.